Good evening and welcome to the Mancunian Way. It's deadline day and City have done jack. As expected, I know everyone yesterday was having a little bit of an excitement, but yeah, City are going as they are for the rest of the season. And what we'll do is we're going to get into it all. João Cancelo has now made his move to Bayern Munich. He's now over in Bavarian, officially a Munich player. Had his couple of little digs on the way out, but hey ho, wish him all the best. And we're going to get into it with some guests. First of all, Alan, how are you, mate?
I'm good, thank you. Sat on my balcony first thing in the morning over in Melbourne. So, yep, all good.
Ozzy, good evening, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good evening, Martin. Good evening, Alan. Good to see you, mate.
No problem. Hi, mate. How are you doing?
Oh, it's not.
Oh, dear me.
So you're not rushing, exactly. We'll get into it, but I think we're going to get a very big summer. We'll start with you, Oz, because you didn't get your say yesterday. First of all, João Cancelo.
Yeah, I mean, when I first saw the news, I was a little bit shocked in some respects because I didn't see this coming. I mean, I knew there was a potential of him going possibly in the summer. You know, we'd kind of suggested that on a couple of the videos, but I was angry at first, and I was just like, "What the hell's going on? What's this all about?" And then, obviously, news has been kind of dripping over the last 24 hours, and obviously, there was the big bust up on the training field, and apparently, from what's come out, is that he actually threw a ball at Pep, like quite close to him. They were literally, a yard apart or something like that, and it went into Pep's stomach, and apparently Pep just kind of took it. And then I think it was Phil Foden and Diaz who basically grabbed hold of João Cancelo and kind of had a few words with him. Let's just say, and that behaviour is just unacceptable. I mean, I don't care that he feels he hasn't had the game time, or even though
that's the bit I'm baffled with. I'm baffled with game time stuff.
I know, but I mean, there's got to be more to it than that, hasn't there? Let's be honest. This for me, it's got to be more than just game time. There's got to be something. I mean, we knew a little bit about his troubled history. You know, there was trouble at Valencia. There were some issues at Juventus, and there were just hearsay and stuff like that. But when he came to City, he seemed to fit in really well. And we know how brilliant he is. On his day, he's one of the best fullbacks in the world for me. And I do feel that we have lost one of the best players in the Premier League, if not Europe. And I am sad to see him go. I'm sad to see him go under the circumstances, but I feel we are going to miss him as a player. Regardless of what's happened, I do feel that we are going to feel that loss, especially if we get injuries, and especially, in crucial games. So I think it's a very sad day that we've lost him, and it's even sadder that, under these circumstances. So, yeah, what more can be said, really, that hasn't been said by you guys last night, in all honesty?
I mean, Alan, is Ozzy right? Is it sad? Because I don't think it is sad. I think he's literally done his own RIP out, and I don't see where he got in this team at the minute with the new system.
Well, this has been going on more than the training ground, from what I've heard at City. It's been going on for weeks and weeks and weeks, where his behaviour and his attitude's been very, very poor. And that, I think, the catalyst at the end for the decision to be made was made after that, before the Arsenal game, with that training session, when he found out he wasn't being picked in the first team and he was on the bench. I don't see how anyone else can say he didn't deserve to be kicked out of the club, and that's exactly what's happened. So I just feel that there's one boss at City, and that's Pep, and you don't question him. And if anyone deserves the right,
don't throw balls at him.
Well, no, you just don't. You know, if someone down the road did that to Ferguson when he was at United, what happened? See you later. He
Well,
was
he did.
thrown out.
It was
Yeah,
called David Beckham.
yeah, exactly. So you know, at the end of the day, anyone behaves like that, then they deserve to be kicked out. I'm sorry, but they do. So I think City have done completely the 100% right thing. Yeah, and to sign someone in the last minute, if no one's available at this point in time, they're better holding till the summer. We've got Aki who's played there 90% of the season and done really well. We've got Gomez. We're going to have to stick with him. Let's look at this. When this last time this sort of thing happened, he moved a midfield player in Fabian Delph into fullback, and what happened? We ended up winning the league. Do you know what I mean? And so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Pep knows what he's doing. I think he's earned the right for everyone to say, "Well, let's calm down." So you know, I'm all for it.
I don't
I'm all
think that
for it.
happens, does it? I don't think that happens in terms of calm.
Yeah.
I think we're past the calm situation.
Well, from what you've been saying about Twitter and the meltdowns, come on, wake up, everybody. Just calm down.
No, I'm not. It's not even Twitter. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it's
Alan, just to pick you up, because I mean, you were right to kind of question his behaviour and stuff like that. I wouldn't argue, you know, what he did was unacceptable.
yeah,
and he deserved to go. You know, you're not going to hear any arguments from me on that side. But what Martin also kind of asked you is what I kind of talked about is, will we miss him though on the field more?
I think we'll miss him if we get injuries. Yeah, but at the end of the day, the club has to make a decision on the future. If his behaviour is unacceptable, you can't have someone in a sporting environment, in a changing room, no matter what sport it is, who's going to sulk and carry on and be a crybaby non-stop in the changing rooms. It happened down the road with a certain Mr. Ronaldo. You just can't have it. You've got to get rid of them in the changing room. Yes, we will miss him if we get injuries, but I don't think he'd have picked him now. I really don't. There's something been going on since the World Cup, clearly. And he made a certain phone call to his agent, screaming out loud when loads of people heard it, apparently, say, "Get me out of this effing club." So, to me, I think I'm 100% behind Pep on this one. 100%.
Good evening, Patrick. Good morning to you, actually.
Good morning, good evening, gentlemen.
Morning, Pat.
How are we all? And hello to everybody in the chat.
So, yeah, we were just discussing, obviously, it looks like we're not going to buy anyone. As you've seen, I'll put it up on screen. There you go. João Cancelo is now officially a Bavarian player, Bayern Munich, going to wear the number 22. So that's done, dusted, and we're off with that one. Start with you on this, Pat. It would have been very un-Manchester City like for us to go out and just panic buy on the last day of the window.
Yeah, it would have been. It would have been, but you know, these unusual circumstances given João Cancelo. So I could have understood if we did sign somebody, but you know, if we go back to our last major signing in January, which was 5 years ago with Merrick Laporte, that didn't have any elements of a panic buy. We saw that in the documentary, the Centurion Season documentary. There was at least talk between Cheeky, Varane, and the rest, the rest of them for several weeks leading up to it. And yeah, it's a shame Cancelo, the Cancelo issue happened at the time that it did. And I'd still like to see us sign somebody, but yeah, the longer it goes on, the more of a panic buy situation it does seem to create. And the only way it would not look like a panic buy is if whoever we bought hit the ground running.
I honestly, I mean, like
Martin, is there any way we can pull back Esperand?
No,
at this stage or not?
No, and I don't think you need him. This is what I mean. You've still got Nathan Acker, Emerick Laporte. You've got Rico Lewis if at a push can throw over to the left. You've still got Gomez. So you've still technically got 4 people, and we don't play the fullback way like Cancelo anymore.
No, we
We
don't.
don't do that. You know, next season is different. We may go back to that, but for now, this season, we don't need a Cancelo because let's be straight and let's be honest. Defensively, he was
No,
1 out
average.
of 10. He was
Yeah,
bang average.
It was very
Great
average
running
defense.
forward, but he couldn't
Yeah,
do
he
it
was.
defensively. And right now, in a back 3, you need him to be defensively solid, and he wasn't there.
He made a lot of mistakes.
Sorry, Alan, I was just going to say there were occasions where he was kind of a walking contradiction where, you know, the games, okay, you'd say, majority of games you'd say, yeah, he's not there for defense. And then there'd be some games where he didn't offer anything at attack, but he had a really good game defensively. Once every handful of games in that, it was just really bizarre. It's just like, no, I want to see this guy bombing in crosses and, you know, cutting out several defenders and things like that. Yet you'd find out, oh, you had a really good game. He stopped X winger or, you know, so-and-so winger or something like that and had him in his back pocket. It's just like, I don't know if that's what we bought him for, but okay, yeah.
I mean, sorry, go on, Ozza.
I think we're all looking at this as his behaviour. I think if you just take out his behaviour for a minute, okay, and we look at the player himself, the player was one of the best players. I mean, he was in the Premier League Team of the Year last season, you know, because he was that good. He was that undroppable. You know, yes, we know there were flaws in his game, but I still think he was one of the best players in our squad last year.
So Ozzy, would you leave a petulant child in the changing room?
No. Like I said, Alan, I'm taking out his behaviour for a minute, and what I'm saying is I'm focused on the player, as in him on the field, okay, and what he brings to this team. Now, for me, there is no one like him that we've got right now. We've lost a player that
even with the new style,
Martin, because
but we don't play that way.
I know we're not playing that way, but I also think on his day he can still come on the field and produce some magic, okay? And I do feel that there are times where you've got to play a different style. Now, we know Pep has to sometimes change the way he plays because of who he's playing against. And at the moment, I feel, yes, we've had to accept that Pep is now playing this way, but eventually you have to tinker. You have to, you know, throw a roll of dice and try something different in a game.
But
and now we don't have that now.
But this is the thing I'm not understanding with people. You're saying he's tinkered. He has tinkered. He's gone to 3-box-3.
Yeah, Martin, because we've not got the players we need. I mean,
right. So that's what I'm saying. So I don't know. We're not. This is only my listen. It's your opinion. It's my opinion. For me, fans need to get in the head that we're not going back to this for the rest of the season. Next summer, maybe, because we'll buy the players in the summer. But for the rest of the season, we're playing back 3. Fans need to get that in their head now.
No, but what I'm saying is that he offers something different that we no longer have at all. Okay? That player is now gone. I'm not talking about his attitude. I'm not talking about what's happened. I'm talking about what we've lost as a player. Okay? And for me, we haven't replaced that and we haven't got that anymore. Okay?
We just have to do what happened when all these players that are good players that have left. We've had to wait 12 months or 6 months for a replacement. And I just think the club have done the right thing without any shadow of a doubt. And we just have to be patient. And let's just pray to God that we don't get a series of injuries at the back, especially left full-back area. At the moment, I'm very, 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 very happy with Aki as full-back because, to me, he's our best defender this season without any shadow of a doubt.
I mean, Pat, is this year a natural transition year?
Yeah, we said before in previous shows, this is a transition on the fly. Trying to be successful while, you know, changing the formation. And it has worked to some extent. Whether it's effective enough to actually achieve results at the end of the season, that's to be seen. But look, at the end of the day, I think Zhao leaving it needed to be done, regardless of whatever the team transition was, because at the end of the day, the only thing maybe worse than not getting exactly the results that should have been getting this season is getting somebody out of the club that was creating a toxic environment, because that could just cause shit to roll downhill. So it had to be done, and hopefully the team can move forward, and maybe I think it'll be reflected by positive results on the field.
Yeah, I mean, the Cancelo's gone now, and it's something we need to accept. We move on with. I was having a look at the amount of defenders we've actually got. Is actually quite a lot. We have got John Stones, we have got Akanji, we have got Rico Lewis, we have got Ake, we have got Laporte, we have got Gomez even. So to play this three at the back, we're actually quite covered. Oh, we've also got Kyle Walker. So we are actually as covered as can be. We've got the bodies. We've got 7 bodies there that we can throw in a back three. So to me, I'm quite happy they didn't go out and panic buy today, because I think A, they'd have got fleeced, and I think B, and I don't think you can do your research in 24 hours enough time to get that done, because is anybody going to come in and play cover for 6 months? Because I think we all know what's coming in the summer. I think we all know there's going to be major outs coming in the summertime. There will be a change.
Do we know what we're going to be getting in the summer, though? Do you know, because for me, I mean, it's been the running joke now, hasn't it, that City have just not had a left back. It's become a bit of a meme, even. You know, is it that City are now?
They might resign.
Sorry, Alan, you broke up there.
Our other.
Oi, Bobby Davro.
Yeah.
I mean, just say, like, is it that City are now in the summer going to buy a proper left back, or are you convinced, Martin, that after he's gone to his back three that he'll stick with that next summer? I mean, for me, it's what are we going to do in the summer, because everything has changed, and it's like, are we just going to stick with the back three? Is that the way going forward for next?
Pep has always liked a back three. If you remember, we talked about it how long. Remember when we had
he has the right fullbacks, If he has the right fullbacks,
he was trying to do this game. Do you remember the Leon game? We did the back three in that game.
And look how that game turned out.
No, but he's always wanted to get to this three. This is what he wants. It's what he's always been trying to get to. It's just we did have the quick fullbacks overlapping guys that could do it. Sadly, now we're at a point where Walker's coming to the end of his career. Cancelo's a bit of a knobhead. And you're at a point where times have to change. I think we all know Bernardo's going to go. Barcelona had another little nibble today. And again, he said no, which is fine. But someone asked me earlier, could you see City doing it? City have always been a club of, if you're not happy and you bring us the right deal, we're happy to let you go. And someone said to me, could you see a lot more of these loans to buy coming in? And I probably can. Probably can see a couple of loans to buy, because to get a Bernardo Silva out the door, someone's going to have to pay 50, 60 million. They're not going to pay that. Barcelona certainly ain't going to pay that.
Well,
they're paying us a pound a week on Torres.
Well, the rumours now that PSG are looking at coming in through in the summer. So I'm just at a point. I mean, apparently the rumours are tonight Liverpool are now out the race of Bellingham. That's over with because of where they are, and it's just whether that's true or not, I don't know.
They'll kick off again in 2 or 3 weeks' time if they win a handful of games.
Can they get to the top 4 though, Pat? That's the thing with them now.
Bellingham ain't going there. If they get closer, the news will pick up.
But there was then that rumor today about James Maddison. Yeah. So I'm like,
I mean, we're talking about toxic people in the clubhouse.
Yeah, to me, I'm sorry, James Maddison doesn't get my juices.
Not for me at all.
I'm sat there going, hang on a minute, we've gone from Newcastle to us. That's a bit of a come on now.
And the other thing that bothered me about this James Madison kind of was not only just about his attitude and stuff like that, but also I was thinking, hang on, that I mean, don't get me wrong, I do want some homegrown players, but we can't have an entire teammate of English because it would just I think that's just the wrong move now. You can't do that, I think.
I think we do need 2 or 3. I think we are getting a bit low on the homegrown. We do need 2 or 3. Unless you're going to include Cole Palmer and all them as a homegrown.
Well, they are. So
yeah, but it's Cole Palmer got a future at Manchester City. You know what I mean? That's what I mean down that road.
Wow.
See, Perone.
Let's not forget we've got Tommy Doyle and McAtee coming back as well.
Yeah, I think they're coming back. I don't know whether they're staying.
Yeah,
I think there's going to be a lot of change in the summer. There's a reason why we've kept a load of money back. I'm quite happy. Maybe it's me. Maybe I've come to peace before a lot of other people on the we're playing boring football now. It is what it is. And maybe it's me. Maybe I've already hit that peace button of we're in a bit of a transition and it is what it is. If we win it, tell you what, if we win the league this year, that's going to be the biggest achievement ever, I tell you. Because for me, we are in a major transition right now. There's that midfield. I looked at it earlier. That midfield we've had, take Calvin Phillips out, that midfield we've had for about 5-6 years. It's not changed. And you're like, hang on.
Well, the thing is that if we keep that same midfield, we're looking at hitting Liverpool standards. Do you know what I mean? I mean, they have not addressed their midfield in a long time. And, now look at where the position they're in. So it has got to be addressed, but it's got to be addressed with the right players.
Okay. I'm going to throw this out there because Abdallah keeps saying it. If Aki gets injured, everyone's going about if Aki gets injured. Have we not talked about Laporte playing left back, Alan, before?
Yeah, he's played there before. Listen, we're covered. You've been through this. Abdallah, you stop panicking, mate. Things. He'll sort things out, Pep. He's smart enough to find a solution, and don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I suppose the thing is for me is I agree with you, Alan and Martin. I think the only thing for me is that the likes of Diaz, the likes of Laporte, the likes of Stones haven't been fit pretty much all season. They're only just coming back, and even Stones had an injury during the last game. So that's my concern, is that if these players aren't fully fit for the rest of the season, if they've still got ongoing niggles and they have to kind of be pulled out, it's then, if you were to get an injury to Ake, that's when, if we've got other players that are injured, that's where we're really going to look like we're going to struggle.
Sorry, I'm just going to read this. We've had a super chat. Thank you, Leon MCFC. Great show, fellas. We are right not to pad it by. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that, mate.
I thought we panic buyed a little with Gomez as it was, to be honest with you, when we couldn't get the Brighton guy. So I think we've got enough to get us through to the end of this season. And if people get injured, it's like Liverpool now. They got a mountain of injuries at Liverpool. Arsenal players are starting to get injured now. This is going to happen during the season. It's a long season and 3 games a week. So let's just see what happens.
Pardo, so you seem to be happy with our current mediocrity. I don't think second in the league, Pardo's mediocrity, mate. That's my whole point back to that is if second in the league's mediocrity, then I'm your question. I don't know.
Let's go back to the old days when we're lucky to stay up. Do you know what I mean? Come on, get a life, guys. Jesus.
I don't get the mediocrity being second.
Yeah, ridiculous comment.
What about some of the options though that were floated over the last 12 hours, I suppose. I mean, there was the likes of Ben Chilwell was mentioned. There was Rafi from Borussia Dortmund.
Rafael Guerrero, yeah. I wanted to talk about him.
There was also the guy from Anthony
Robertson, yeah, from Fulham. He's good. Him.
And there was also the guy from Wolves as well, the French Ryan
Nori.
Yeah.
Definitely not him.
What do we think of those players? I mean, I know we've kind of ruled City completely out now, but I'm just thinking of options of if they take a punt, if they were available, or they were an option, or whether it's something to go back to in the summer.
The problem is, if you went and tried to buy any of those people that you just mentioned, the club that were letting them go would then have a massive problem because they've got about an hour to get somebody else in. That's not the problem. The problem is not getting them; it's that the club that are selling don't have an alternative. Then they're screwed.
Yeah, Alan, I mentioned that last night. I said Fulham probably would sell, but they need to have somebody lined up prior to negotiations.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the issue. At the end of the day, the City might have approached all of those players, but at the end of the day, the Fulhams of the world are not going to sell because they'll be screwed for the rest of the season, and they're trying to stay up. So there's no chance of that happening. No chance.
I think the only two that I thought would be ones you could get, Alan, now. The two that I thought was the Rafi guy from Borussia Dortmund, and then Ben Chilwell. Do you know what I mean? Because one, Ben Chilwell isn't going to get in Chelsea starting lineup, is he? Let's be honest. And then you've got Rafi, who's on, I think he's got 6 months left on his current contract. So I think if Dortmund could get something for him, they probably wouldn't say no. And the other thing about him as well is that he's ahead of Cancelo in the Portuguese national team. And he did really quite well for them as well during their international. So,
Ozzy Guerrero's situation was similar to Akanji's.
Yeah.
We only had half a season left, and we cashed in, and they got some sort of money out of a player who was about to leave.
Sorry, we've had another super chat. Abdallah, thank you, mate. Trust Pep 100%. I'm losing faith in the board. Listen, it's your opinion. I don't agree with it. I genuinely have no issues with this board. I think it's the best board in the country. We don't panic. We don't.
Yeah.
We take it all slow. I'm quite happy with it.
At the end of the day, Abdallah, it's Chicky and Siriario and Pep joint choose the players, and they have scouts underneath it. It's not necessarily the board. They get sign off from Khaldoon. That's it. So those three people choose players that City want.
Go on, Pat. Did you want to talk about the other fullback?
Oh yeah, it was just about Guerrero, where I thought if there was a chance to get any left back, it would have been him, given his contract situation. We could have seen that would have been one of the situations where we could have seen like an Akanji negotiations like 2.0, where he sort of came in, not necessarily at the last minute, but just within, I think, something like a day or so, it was all done, wrapped up with a few days to spare in the transfer window. And given the fact that there was 6 months left, we probably could have got him on the cheap. And the fact of the matter is that if you get him on the cheap, people aren't necessarily going to say panic buy. It's just, it's just a stopgap for a solid player covering a position that hasn't had a great deal of coverage, for the last few seasons.
Yeah,
he's a natural left back as well, isn't he?
He's a solid left back. He's good going forward, and he's defensively, he's okay.
Yeah.
Come back with by immediate to me in our style of play. I think our style of play is forced upon us this year. Pep said it 3, 4, 5 times. I keep, the way I view it is you all wanted the big number 9. He's not overly mobile. You've got to get it moving somehow, and this is the way we're going to move it. Like he said, we can't all just go flooding forward, or you get a Newcastle situation. Like I said, things may change in the summer, but for right now, for the next 6 months, it's going to be a 3-box-3. It may not be the most entertaining football, but again, I'll say this: we've moaned at Pep in the past for not having a plan B. we've now got a plan B, and people are having a moan because we're not doing plan A. And the trouble is, plan A doesn't always help you, aka the Bernabeu last year when João Cancelo dropped a bollock and had a nightmare and decided to let everyone run by him. So it's where you go. It's what you want to do. Do you want the Bernabeu situation again, or do you not? Pep's learning. Maybe it's me. I don't know. Maybe, like I said earlier on, maybe it's because I come to peace with it. I don't know.
The bottom line is that, you know, this sort of thing started at Chelsea away when Cancelo got substituted at half time. And apparently he absolutely kicked off in the change rooms, and players had to restrain him in the changing rooms. And ever since then, it's all gone meltdown with him. So the club have done the right thing. His behaviour, maybe Bernardo's attitude might change now with a bit of luck, because from what I can gather, Bernardo's been living with Cancelo, and if Cancelo's been whinging behind the scenes and moaning and groaning, you know, hopefully Bernardo getting on his own with his girlfriend might just be calm him down a little bit. I mean,
yeah, I don't think Bernardo's changed his mind, Alan, anytime soon, mate.
I hope it has. I hope they offer him an extension, taking him to at least.
Alan is not going to take it. He wants to go back to Benfica.
Yeah, well, he's not going to go back. Benfica can't afford him.
No, that's my point. No, Alan, you need to come to peace. There's going to be no contract extension with Bernardo. You need to come to peace with that one. It ain't happening.
I hope not. I hope you're wrong on that one.
I'm loving all the optimism tonight. Yeah, Bernardo's saying he's doing this. We're buying 3 wingers. I love it. Listen, I honestly think there'll be a big change in the summer. Just talk of Bellingham, Maddison, Leao in Mayo. The guy I want is this Robinson at Fulham.
I agree with you. I agree.
You would need to change the style back again.
Yeah.
Robinson's just a left-sided, in a way, is like a left-sided Kyle Walker. His speed is a defensive weapon, and I'd be so comfortable having him out there
all day long. I agree with you.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't want Chilwell.
And he fills the quota. He fills the English quota too.
Yeah, I don't want Chilwell. Sorry, Chilwell. Bloody.
That injury history scares me. He's just turned into he's just become made out of biscuits since he went to Chelsea.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah, and I think it's a shame for him, but you know, he decided to go to Chelsea. The offer was to come to City, and you know,
Guerrero, not for me.
Yeah, I don't think City valued him for the 42 million. I don't know if it was a release clause, or I think that's what Leicester were after or something, but we just did not value him at 42 million. Which is,
we were right.
Which is funny considering he's paid 2 million more for a certain French left fullback.
I think, Charlie, from what we understand, I think it only majorly went off during the World Cup, because before the World Cup, the guy was playing. The guy had the most minutes out of all defenders. And he was even given an opportunity when he come back. He played at Stamford Bridge. He played at the Swamp. Pep tried everything he could to turn the guy around. The guy didn't want to turn around.
Yeah. He came back from Qatar. Yeah, he came back from Qatar bitter because Fernando Santos was playing Diogo Dalot in favour of him on the right-hand side. And that's effectively when the first, toys started coming out the pram.
Yeah, the way I look upon it is, I look at a player's rep, and this is like the 4th time he's done this.
Yeah, it is.
He did it at Juve, did it at Valencia. It's like
Inter.
Yeah. When the guy wants to leave, he makes it known he wants to leave.
Yeah.
He kicks away to get out the door. And you know what? I think it hurts because it is a first-team player, as Johnson says, because it's not a fringe player. We know Luke Mbete has gone out to Bolton today. Don't know why that Coventry deal suddenly got cut short, but he's left Huddersfield, and he's now on his way to Bolton. I know Rangers had a nibble at Cole Palmer today. Couldn't get him out on loan. I said Barcelona tried to get a loan deal for Bernardo Silva over the line. Wouldn't do it. So today I think was about loan deals of people trying to get some of our unhappy campers out the road. City aren't stupid. They're not going to sell everybody out the door. João Cancelo went because we had the numbers to back it up. Yeah. If you've got Manchester City right now on the phone and went, why did João Cancelo go? They'll list you the 7 defenders they've got who can roll into the back 3.
Yeah.
and they'll say Zhao surplus to requirements at the minute.
Well, I'll support Pep. What he's done is 100% correct, and at the end of the day, listen, everyone's panicking and having a meltdown. I think he's just overreacting. Man City are not going to win the league every single season. It's impossible. But if we compete for the league and compete for trophies every year, I'm happy with that. We're going to win some trophies out of it. So let's just calm down and let's see what Pep and Cheeky and Siriaro do in moving forward.
Look
at the history.
Look at the history of the game in England. I think there's only been 5 clubs that have won 3 league titles in a row in the history of the game. So it just shows you how difficult it actually is.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think since the Premier League era came in, it's become even more difficult.
Yeah.
Here's a question. I'm going to throw it to all three of you. Is this new system because of Real Madrid last year?
Probably.
But that's the thing. It's like, is it really more defensively sound? I mean, you go back 2 seasons ago. That was probably our best defensive season. Not just under Pep, but since the takeover.
When we had Stones and Diaz,
we have conceded more goals. Exactly.
Yeah.
But then the argument there is to say that that 2020-2021 season, defensively we were just sound. We barely let anything through. Stones and Diaz were just absolute rocks at the back. And
we've had a lot of injuries at the back this year, but we are the last 3 games we've played, whether it be Cup or League, we'd looked a lot back. He's obviously tried to sort it out. He knows there's been a.
Do you know, for me, I mean, I don't think it was the original plan from Pep. I don't think going through at the back was going to be the full plan. It may have been his plan B, but I do think, the plan was to have Kyle Walker and Cancelo playing at full back, and then it would have been whoever was fit and playing at the best for the centre backs. That's the way I saw it kind of going into the beginning of the season, and it just hasn't gone that way for various reasons with injuries and.
Well, he did try them, didn't he? Oz? He tried them, but they both couldn't do this inverted fullback.
Yeah,
we all remember Kyle Walker at St James's Park. It was like Bambi on ice when he got put into that inverted fullback situation, and ASM just absolutely rinsed him. Not because he's bad, because we've seen Walker shut out Mbappe. He could have quite easily shut out ASM. The problem is he went into an inverted fullback and went into the midfield, and he didn't know what to do at that point.
And nobody.
What I alluded to yesterday. It's like Rico Lewis is perfect for that because he's grown up with that system. Kyle Walker is trying to learn that on the fly. Big difference.
Saw that
when you try to learn something like that at 32 years of age, it's completely different.
But no one saw that coming, did they, Pat? Do you know what I mean? No one saw that Rico Lewis was going to emerge as this brilliant talent that could do that this season. We certainly didn't see this coming. We knew of him. As one of these players in the academy. But for me, no one saw Rico Lewis coming in and doing what he did. And I think anyone who would say that would be a bit of a liar. He's been brilliant. But the problem for me, and I think we've alluded to before, is he's 19. You can't place everything on this guy's shoulders. It's too much. That's why you still have got to use the likes of Walker. Do you know what I mean? He's still going to learn. I guarantee there's going to be a game where he's going to have a stinker or he's going to do something stupid. And it'll happen because that's just the nature of football. And then what's going to happen? Everyone's going to be on his back going, he's too young, he's too, immature or, hasn't got the experience. And then what's going to happen?
That's where wiser heads prevail, because we know for a fact at that age, you're nothing but you're only going to be, unless you're generational, you're only going to be a raw talent. You are going to make mistakes too, but at the same time, you're going to offer so much as well too, and so much potential and promise for when your senior years come up. I love the fact that he's offering so much at 19 that it's just like, I can't wait till this guy gets to 24, 25 years of age. The only problem is that, sorry, Mark, I was going to say that age gap between him and Walker, to me, is just, it's just little, not a cause for concern, but it does make you feel a little bit uncomfortable given how we play, whatever style of play that we would play on the right-hand side. I do kind of miss having a play. I know we obviously we sent him to Juve so we could get João Cancelo. But I do kind of miss having someone like a Danilo, who is at that age that's sort of in the middle between sort of, I think he's only a couple of years younger than Kyle Walker, but you could call it in the middle. But he's also he's so versatile too, because he can play on the left, he can play on the right, he can even play in number 6. And I think that's just that one player that, if he was still here and João had left, we'd be saying, you got Danilo now, not a concern. Because I think Danilo is just that perfect utility player that can be that stopgap, that can cover Ake on a day off, can cover Walker, can cover Rico Lewis as well. And that's just one of those players that, while I don't have, I agree with you, Martin. I don't have as much concern, with Cancelo leaving, but just having just maybe another utility player would have been perfect. We wouldn't have even considered even talking about in this chat about any, transfers or panic buys before it closes in a couple of hours.
Yeah, I mean, I'd look at some earlier on today. I thought I was listening to a podcast, and you know what? Some of the best players in football right now are happy accidents. Marcus Rashford got thrown into the United team by Louis van Gaal because everyone was injured, and he just went, "Screw it! I've got a kid in the academy that I'm just going to chuck here." Look where he is now. Trent at Liverpool. Klopp went, "I'm going to give you a go," and it's just, and the way I look upon it is, maybe Cancelo doesn't go if Rico hasn't appeared. Yes, he's still only 18. Yes, he's only still young. But as you said, Pat, and we've alluded to, is he's grown up 7 years doing the Pep way. We have this holistic approach where from the under 2s all the way up is Pep ball. It's exactly the same. And they all play the same way. And that's not just England, that's America. That's over at Melbourne City. That's over at Yokohama. That is everywhere. Everyone is doing the exact same game because Pep is the boss and that's what he wants. So to me, maybe we're at a point where we're going to start seeing our academy start paying off here with 2 or 3 coming in. And we're going to start, reaping the benefits. Because I understand the frustration. I think the frustration is at the minute because people are looking at Chelsea. I really do think Chelsea are playing a massive role in this sort of anger or frustration with a lot of fans. We've got to remember Chelsea are doing this for one reason. Because A, they can do because they've got a new owner, and B, they're also being very clever before the loophole shuts. They're sticking everyone on 9-10-year deals. Enzo Fernandez is going on the biggest contract ever given in world football. Why?
So they can pay it over.
So they can pay it over 10 years. Yeah. They're all coming in on lower wages because what Chelsea are doing right now, Chelsea are paying at top market value. Either Ozzy said hello to someone or he's watching the TV there. He's got the football on. So, do you know what Chelsea are doing is Chelsea are paying at the top market value for all their players. So, for example, Mudryk, they've gone to a point where 95 million, 90 million, whatever it is, he's not worth that right now, but it could be in 2 or 3 years. We'll pay him £100,000 a week. But the trouble is where Chelsea are clever now. Because the players are on 8, 9, 10-year deals, they can't go back to the owners in 2 years and go, can I have a pay rise? Can we renegotiate? And Chelsea go, no. Sorry, you signed the deal. We'll look again in a year or 2. This is where Chelsea are being clever. Chelsea are trying to build a whole squad in one window.
And the problem with that, though, Martin, is that they've got a bloated squad. Okay, there are players there that are not going to be happy that they're going to be 3rd, 4th choice. It's going to make a very unhappy dressing room for Potter to manage. And you are going to have. I do think that their strategy is just it's basically FIFA, or Football Manager. There doesn't seem to be a proper plan from Chelsea. It's literally just spend and hope that something will come together. Now, And for me, it's also, is Graham Potter having any say? Because for me, I don't see some of these signings being what you maybe want. It's not normally how he operates, especially when he was at Brighton. And I just think, and if he doesn't get any better games, if they keep falling down the league, does it mean he gets fired? And who comes in? It's just, I think it's just an absolute, you can watch it and just go, I can't wait for this to implode.
I agree with what you say. Sorry, Alan. I was just going to say, just quickly to Aussie. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying too. But I think the key for Chelsea is, as long as the Abramovich culture has left Chelsea, then and they stick with Potter. I think it's that's the main thing, because we're all just expecting, I'll give it 6 months, they may win a trophy, and then another manager's out the door. But yeah, look, these albatross of a contracts like 8 to 10 years, it's just like it's such a risk if the player wants to leave after 4 or 5. But I think they're obviously planning on Potter sticking around, which is just so un-Chelsea like. So we'll just have to wait and see. But at the end of the day, it's just like, as long as Bowley doesn't have as completely abolished the Abramovich culture of just recycling after a season or two, then maybe it is the right thing to do. Just these long contracts, I'm not sure about.
Excuse me, guys. I've got to shoot off to the airport with my auntie, so I'm going to have to lump you and leave you. Let's everyone not panic what's just happened. The club have done the right thing, and let's see what happens moving forward.
Yep.
Speak to you later, guys.
Take care, Alan. Thanks for joining me, mate.
See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Michael Feeney. Brian, to answer you, I think it was a certain guy who's currently going back to court. I won't mention his name, but he's probably the last time we bought a natural left-footed fullback. Before that was probably Gael Clichy. Yep. I think someone's asked how are Chelsea getting away with it, and it's exactly like I said. It's because they are they're going round it on the clever side of lower wages, higher amortization over 8, 9, 10 years. £120 million deal gets done at £12 million per year, which only goes on the books at £12 million a year. So it's very, very clever. There'll be a lot of players that will leave Chelsea. Jorginho's gone out the door today for $15 million. Ben Chilwell will go out the door.
Kante will go.
Conor Gallagher, they're trying to get out the door. Apparently, Conor Gallagher deal will be like a full year's worth of everything back up for FFP for them. Because the difference is they're selling to teams that won't be doing 8, 9, 10-year deals. So they're getting more money back up front.
Well, I heard that deal wasn't going ahead now.
No, but they are still trying to get rid of things at the moment. But even in the summer, I honestly think Chelsea in the summer will be about selling more than buying. I think Chelsea will be a selling club come the summertime. They're getting everyone tied down now. They're getting everybody in now. They've still got Nkunku coming in. Everyone's forgotten about him.
Yep.
He's coming in. So the only thing they probably need to do is probably buy a goalkeeper and maybe a number 9. That's about it come the summertime, and then everything else is out the door. But if you look, they are literally rebuilding that team.
I still think they'll do a little bit of buying in the summer too, because defensively, if you look at it, you've got Koulibaly and they've got Thiago Silva, Koulibaly's the wrong side of 30, and Silva ain't getting any younger at 36 or 37.
Well, they bought one, haven't they? That guy beginning with me.
But I think they could buy another one too. They're certainly buying like for like.
Yeah,
Monaco.
They're buying with the intention of
Sterling's going as well. Sterling's up for sale
already.
So yeah.
Wow. Look how far he has dropped.
Yeah.
I mean,
Bloody hell.
We warned him. Said what he was buying.
And it's gonna be tougher in the sell too, because who's going to match that salary? 315 grand a week or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, he's. I think it was a mistake for him to leave from City. I think he will regret that now. So,
Alex has put, I'm shocked we didn't bring anyone in, not even on loan. I'm not. I don't think City panic. I think to get
and we don't do loans.
Yeah, while I'm, like I said, because I'm so relaxed, is yesterday, yes, I probably wanted, the guy I wanted was Anthony Robinson. But you got to look at it from a Fulham point of view. For Fulham, it was the last day of the window. Anthony Robinson is an integral part to Fulham Football Club this season and their success and where they are in the league. To get rid of him out the door now, they couldn't get anyone in that amount of time, really, to help them. So it was too late. Maybe you could argue the João Cancelo thing they might have known earlier on, but like I said, we don't know the timescale. All we know is it's come from the last 2 or 3 games where Cancelo's not been happy. And his girlfriend's had a little dig today on Instagram, and that's fine. But for me, I deep down, I didn't expect it because it would have been very un-Manchester City-like to go out and do that. I would have just found it a bit weird, especially when you look at the amount of centre-backs we've got. And it's a back 3. If it was a back 4, like Ozzy said, if it was the back 4 of last season, 100% I'm saying, right, we need somebody. But with this back 3, we're covered. We're totally covered.
Yeah.
So
you're right, Martin. I mean, we are covered in the respects of going for a back 3, you know. And as you said, like, City don't panic buy. You know, we don't. When was the last time we bought anybody in January? You know,
Laporte was the last one.
5 years ago.
But then when was the time before Laporte? Do you know what I mean? It is so unusual for City to do any business apart from players going out in January. So it's usually the summer will come, and that's when they'll look at bringing in the players they want.
Mm-hmm.
Which I do feel that they will go back to a back 4 in the summer, and they will buy, you know, a left back. Mm-hmm. Who that is up for debate.
But I think when summer comes around too, I think we'll be hitting the ground running as soon as the window's open. We'll want to try and get these signings in.
Alex has had this. I've heard this today. We're 1 injury away. Are we 1 injury away? Because you've still got Laporte, Gomez, Rico.
Well, you know, you could see him throwing Rico over to the left, couldn't you? Really, you know, and seeing what he's like, you know, because he's so versatile. You know, he could play Walker and Rico in the same side. I could see him doing it.
But you got Laporte as well. Everyone's forgotten about Emerick Laporte, who can play left back, and Aki's been playing left back was playing left back for Holland until he got rid of VVD and kicked him out of the team for him, and then went to centre back. But I just think, yes, we are an injury, and injuries will happen. But you got to look. This is why I'm maybe relaxed. It's a back 3. It's not. We don't play fullbacks.
It's a back 3 in possession.
Yeah,
we're not doing fullbacks anymore. This is not a fullback situation. This is a back 3 with a 4 inverted. So I'm gonna throw a wild card out. There was some inquiries today for Calvin Phillips. Leeds apparently had a little nibble to go back on loan. Anyone surprised at that?
I think we've discussed it before about Calvin Phillips. I don't think the decision's been made. I think they are. Again, City will give him another season at least. You know, I think it's just been a very bad start to his City career with the injuries. You know, I do feel Rodri does need backup, and I really hope that he's going to be able to kind of come into this team and kind of give Rodri a break, because for me, there's been times during the season where I've kind of thought Rodri's starting to look like his legs starting to go. He needs to be subbed, and where's Calvin Phillips?
Yeah. Pat?
Well, this is the first I heard about, you know, Leeds having a nibble for Calvin Phillips. And, yeah, I've got to say, bit of a surprise, bit of a shock. I mean, maybe they were just maybe they were just testing the waters just to see if Phillips is out of favour at the club. But I can't see a player who's just been hampered by injuries all season falling out of favour with the club so quickly. I think Phillips is not necessarily exempt from judgment this season, but I tell you what, the magnifying glass will be on him and his performances for next season, especially if he starts the season with a clean bill of health. Look, as much as I want to see Calvin Phillips hit the ground running now, and as you alluded to, Ozzy, I think it'll be crucial that he can find some form if Rodri's legs start to go a little bit, because that's become a major contributing factor to our performances late in season is Rodri's overall fitness, given he puts in such a workload over the course of the season that, we need Calvin Phillips firing at the end of the season if we are to be successful in my opinion. So we'll have to wait and see what he does this season. But I think given what's happened, since the start of the season, I think we just have to be calm with Calvin Phillips, and I think he'll come good at some point.
It was on her Instagram feed, for not his. It was on her Instagram. Someone took a screenshot of it earlier. Oh, get off with that. People are asking about Instagram, Ozzy. Do you just want to give that a push, mate? See the show, baby. I don't deal with Instagram. Instagram's all Ozzy.
Yeah, please, subscribe. I do Instagram, but I still don't always know how it works. But I try and push out as much content on there as possible to do with obviously upcoming streams and transfer rumours and stuff like that. So please, get on there. You can send messages as well, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. But it's just another kind of platform that we use to kind of send out our message, and I hope you enjoy the content.
Pep could do a Phillips and could do a Pep. Pep could be Pep and play Calvin Phillips at left back. Here's a question, and I'm half joking here. Phil Foden. You're laughing at me, and I am partly taking the piss, but where did he play at Anfield?
Actually, I was going to say you probably got more like chance with Calvin Phillips, because Calvin Phillips played at centre back during the Colombian, is it Colombian team, or during when we were in America, Club America?
Yeah.
He did. He played Calvin Phillips at centre back, didn't he? And that was pretty much his only game. I could see
centre back. This is what I mean. This is Pep. So we don't know.
Well, Roger played for Spain at centre back, so during the World Cup.
Pat, get your boots. You're having a game. No, Alex, we've got a centre back can play Cancelo. Passion. Obviously, are you worried, Ozzy, for the rest of the season that we haven't bought today? Or are you more comfortable because of, I don't mean comfortable with the system. You've made it quite clear you're not overly keen on the system at the moment. I know that. What I'm saying is, are you more comfortable we haven't gone today because the system we've got, we are where we are? It's not a loss if that makes... He's a loss, but he's not a loss if that makes sense in this system. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want City to panic by today. I just think it would have been a mistake. I do hope there's a plan for the summer where they do actually say, certain players are going to leave, certain contracts are going to finish for a certain player that we're not going to mention for his legal reasons. But, there is going to be money freed up. And I just feel that if they've got the player they have in mind in the summer for a left back, go out and get him in the summer if that's what we need to do. That's what I want.
Just trying to find the picture for FIFA, because it was actually a screenshot of it. So carry on. You just talk while I find that.
Yeah. I just, for the system that's being played at the moment, I agree with you, Martin. We've got the players we need. I don't, and as you said, I don't like the system, if I'm honest. I don't think it fully works for us. I think there's going to be issues and there's problems. Regardless of Pep thinks it's his ultimate plan. For me, I just don't think it works for City. People may argue that point. You argue that point several times, but I hope come the summer and next season we go back to a back four. And I don't mind if it's Rico Lewis, coming into midfield or a new left back that does that. I don't mind that because I get it. It works, but I still think ultimately we work better as having a full back four.
Yeah, I mean, Pat, is it just we have to wait to get Haaland going fuller? And by the way, I'm not saying now it's Haaland's fault. But when everyone goes, don't blame Haaland, not saying that. What I'm saying is that Haaland scoring goals, the problem is, as Pep said, he's not mobile. He's learning. If you notice, game by game, he's getting more mobile, but he's not mobile at the moment, isn't coming back. So you've got to play this system to help Haaland as well.
Patrick is definitely blaming Haaland, isn't he? Let's be honest.
And it's sad though. You've got to go out and say that. I'm not blaming him, but your words will get twisted.
Yeah, you put it all down to Haaland, mate. That's a bit unfair.
Don't start you.
I'll give over.
That was a good impression, Pat. I like that.
I'm convinced Silverstone can go. No, mate, I just no. It's too far. You got to look at all the signs FIFA. But you think Cancelo's coming back, mate? So God Lord's here. I don't think he goes for 70 million or 61 million pounds. I think it ends up going lower. But no, there's no way he comes back. It's an awful way of playing football. I get it, but it's the way we are.
Can I ask you and Pat a question, actually, Martin? And this is probably going to lead to more of an end of season, really, of review in some respects. But do you feel we made the right signings in the summer? Do you know what I mean? Because
we're looking at last summer.
Well, last summer, sorry, is what I mean. Because you look at where we are now, and you look at some of the players that haven't performed. Did we get it right? Haaland is probably the exception in some respects.
I do feel like I have to save that answer till the end of the season because at the end of the day, our seasons are determined by what trophies we lift. So at the moment, we're in a bit of a weird situation because we're playing a style of football that nobody expected us to play when we were looking, when we were previewing the season 6 months ago. But at the end of the day, it may not be the football that we like, but it's still effective because we're still in 3 trophies and we're still within striking distance of the league.
But was it bad planning though, Pat? Because if you look at it, okay, one of those signings has been a success. And you could say, okay, backup goalkeeper, he's going to be a backup goalkeeper or a cup competition goalkeeper, and he hasn't done a bad job when he's come in. I know he's had a couple of blunders here and there, but the rest of the signings, have they really lived up to what they were supposed to do? And there was always the left back issue. There was always, we let players go that like Sterling and Jesus, who were our wingers, and now we have no wingers. Do you know what I mean? So is it that, okay, we've had to go to this back three, but if we'd have brought in certain other players, do you know what I mean? We may not be in this position. And I know you're right, we are going to probably have to come back to this at the end of the season, but if we're looking at it now during this transfer window, is it that we made some wrong signings? Is it we got some of the signings wrong?
Yeah, it's got me torn between are they wrong because we're not maybe we're not being as effective on the pitch as we have been previous seasons, but then at the same time it's like your final analysis should be made at the end of the season. But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, Ozzy, but I still feel like there's an element of work in progress on these signings. The only thing with Haaland is, and it's great to see him bagging these goals and being top of the league, but it was so. I think I'd like to think a lot of the City fans in the chat here would think the same thing. Is we didn't necessarily have the golden boot every single year, but it was so reassuring knowing that as soon as you went just a couple of scroll down just a fraction down the page, you would see like 5-6 players with double-digit, goal contributions or double-digit goal, goals scored and things like that. And you go, okay, we don't have the golden boot there, but guess what? They've got a golden team there because they all contribute. And Haaland has taken that away from some players, but at the end of the day, that's kind of what we signed him for.
Did we get it wrong?
To me, it's a statistic, but that you look at face value and say, this is why we are now transitioning out of the traditional false nine that we have done for 2.5 seasons and now gone to a proper nine.
Do I think, here's a question, someone's asked it, do I think Pep wanted Haaland as his number one choice? No. His number one choice was Kane. For the very reason you're seeing now. What was Kane's biggest asset? Coming back.
Yeah.
Exactly. Coming back, you play the exact same system as you do.
You do see Haaland trying to do that from time to time. So I think,
but he's learning on the job.
Yeah, he's learning on the fly.
Him doing it,
which is why we've said on previous shows too. It's like I can't wait for next season with Haaland.
And you know what? I'm not. This is not. I'm going to go. Yeah. I'm not saying Haaland is the best striker in world football, and he's amazing. What I'm saying is, do I think Pep, hand on heart, would have? If we listen, we don't bid, we don't go as big as we did with Kane, even though we didn't bid, because Haaland. If we'd have got Kane, Haaland doesn't come.
Martin, would you say, going back to looking forward to seeing what Haaland can do next season if he's able to bring that dropping deep element into his game more similar to what he did with Aguero. Do you feel like Pep would be more pleased with Haaland if, let's say for example, he doesn't necessarily score as many goals next season as he has this season, but let's say instead of banging in 27 goals so far this season, this time next season he's only scored like maybe 15 to 20 goals, but he's got like 10 to 12 assists. He's contributing more to the team's success and not just his own goal tally. I think that's what he would want to see from Pep a bit more. What Pep would want to see from him a bit more, not just the dropping deep, but being a bit more contributing, more 1-2s, more linking up with the midfielders behind him, and
Yeah, if you can get, it depends who you bring in.
Yeah,
you get a Bellingham, you can get a Leao or whoever, you get an Anthony Robinson, and you rebuild again. Got Perone, got Alvarez. Yeah, you can probably get away with going back to the way you did. This summer for me will be an important summer. Probably the most important summer the club has had in about 10 years. I really do think this summer is that vital, that pivotal. Calvin Phillips, did we know he wasn't going to work so far? And I'm using the word so far.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not. Did we know he was injury prone? Yes. We're not stupid. He'd been out at Leeds for 8 months with the injury he'd had. And Gomez wasn't, he was like fourth choice. He went after Cucurella. They were looking at all sorts of players. But the Cucurella deal, we went to Brighton and didn't realise who we were dealing with. Tony Bloom he's not a poker player. He's made his millions through poker. So he kind of knows what he's doing. So do I think we had a bad summer? No. Do I think we bought enough? No. And that's why I keep saying about transition. I'm very relaxed. I'm more relaxed than ever before, because if this is shit, if this is bad, and we are second, one of the top goal scorers in the league, with a guy who's breaking records left, right, and centre, our defence is actually in the top 2 or top 3 in the whole of the league. Jesus, what we're going to be like when we hit the rails. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is maybe why I'm optimistic, and
Yeah.
everyone thinks I'm doing happy clappy. I'm
Yeah.
not. We're sat here saying we're crap, we're no good, and I've got to stop swearing because we are monetizing them. Apologies, YouTube. That we are, we're no good and we're boring and this, that, and the other. We're second. We're in a 2-horse race for the title. We beat Arsenal in the FA Cup. We beat Chelsea in the FA Cup. We beat Liverpool in the Carabao. Do you know what I mean? If this is bad, I mean, listen, we could be in Liverpool and Chelsea's position right now.
Yeah, and I think, like you
I
said,
don't
we
know.
are going through a transition period, and Liverpool are going through a transition period. Chelsea are going through a transition period, but we're in the best position right now compared to those clubs. We've got the best manager in the world who has delivered 4 out of 5 Premier Leagues over the last 5 years. Has kept us in all the big competitions, has taken us pretty much all the way. Okay, we haven't won the Champions League, but we've been in a final. So I think you're right, Martin. Some City fans do need to calm down a little bit. It's a work in progress, and I think next summer is going to be a big summer for City. You're right, and there's going to be a number of players leaving, and there's going to be a number of players coming in, and hopefully we get the players we want. Bellingham, I think, is very much still up in the air. Because I think it all depends on 3 clubs right now, and that's Liverpool, City, and Real Madrid for him. And then, of course, it comes into what City do at left back, and I also think it comes into what wingers they will bring in.
Yeah. The only reason I'm not as relaxed as our rivals, yeah, I get that Super City, but United beat us in the derby. They were in a title race and they were out of it 4 days later. How do you beat a team, close the gap, and then 4 or 5 days later the gap's bigger than what it was previously when you beat them? Do you know what I mean? It's like that makes no sense. This is what I'm not understanding. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm being too happy clappy. I don't know. Be real, we ain't hitting the rails. Yeah, and we're second. We're second. Top goal scorers in the league, and we've not hitting the rails. Jesus, imagine when we do.
United were always going to get stronger as well, Martin. Eventually they were going to get right with the manager. That was just only a matter of time, I suppose. And Ten Hag has come in and made a hell of a difference. Has put them where they currently are. I still don't think he's entirely happy with the squad. I think he still wants another couple of transfer windows to bring in the players he wants. United were going to always come back up, but for United to come back up, other clubs have to struggle, like the likes of Chelsea, like the likes of Liverpool. You're going to have to remember we've got Newcastle in the mix now. Newcastle have the richest owners, and if they stay where they are, and they do get Champions League football, that's another club you've got to contend with, for players next summer. It's going to be, the Premier League is becoming the Super League that we didn't want, but it is becoming that because there are so many clubs now that have got so much money, and there's only 4 places for Champions League football. Obviously, unless you win the Thingy Cup, but realistically, there are just 4 places, and now there are 6, 7 clubs that have got money that can burn.
Right. We're going to sort of wrap it up there in a minute. I just want to finish on this. Who's had the best window for you two so far? When you look at it, who's had the best? When we kick off again tomorrow, February 1st, who's had the best transfer window? Oh, there's a question none of them are expecting. Look at the thoughts on them.
haven't really paid much attention, but I thought Arsenal getting Trossard was a sensible buy, and only getting for 27 million as well from Poker Face Brighton was good business as well. I don't think they're getting Caicedo, are they?
No, that's off
because he just keeps adding the price every time they put a bid.
Yeah, they've got Jorginho.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they've been sensible, but again, to me, I feel like January signings are not about what when you've added them in January. It's what they've done come the end of May. So.
Yeah.
A lot of people on paper, Arsenal look like they made some sensible additions, but yeah, I think the chat's saying Chelsea because they've just added some big pieces. So, be interested to see. I think if Chelsea were able to go on a run and go from 10th to knocking on the door of 4th in a couple of months or something, then yeah, I think they've definitely had a more successful January window. So, on paper, Chelsea, but I think Arsenal have just added a couple of decent pieces there that are worth paying attention to.
So, Ozzy, what do you think? I mean, I'll give you my quick thoughts. I don't rate the Jorginho signing at all. I don't think that's very desperate from Arsenal, if I'm honest with you. I don't understand it. He's slow. He's not there. He's not a Thomas Partey.
No, but I understand it. But I'll let you finish mine.
No, I just don't see it. Maybe it's me. Thomas Partey's injured, and he's going to come in and sort of do that, and I don't think he can do that job. Maybe it's me.
No, I personally think he's been brought in because, on his days, he can be a quality player. We saw it at Chelsea, we saw it at Napoli before that. He was linked with City before he went to Chelsea quite heavily, before, Chelsea, scuppered that deal for us. So, for me, he's one of those players where I think Arteta has seen that he can control the game and slow the game down when they need to. In certain games, if they're 1-0 up and they need to finish the game out, I think he's the type of player you can bring on and do that. Do you know what I mean? So I can see why they've brought him in. For me, out of the question you asked is, I think in some respects, I think it's between possibly Arsenal and Brighton. I know Brighton haven't particularly brought anyone in, but I think they've done really well to keep the players that they didn't lose. Okay, yes, they lost Trossard, but they've you only have to look at what they've done since they've lost Trossard. They've still beaten Liverpool. So I think they've done extremely well just to keep the players that they wanted to keep and just go, what, no. So I think they've had a really good transfer windows in just keeping the hold of the players. And I think Chelsea is as you said, Pat. Chelsea, yes, on paper have had the best window because they've brought in these big, players and stuff like that. But really and truly, this amount of players and this bloated squad, I think, is just going to have its own problems for Potter to deal with, to try and keep all these players happy. And I just don't think it's going to go as well as Chelsea hands may expect. It's bedding in these players.
Arsenal have had 50 points in the first half. I don't think we touched that second half.
They'll be lucky. I think, they're going to be lucky to be able to kind of keep momentum and keep injury free. You like you said, Partey's a big miss for them. It depends how long he's out and how well Jorginho can come in and do a job for him. So we're going to keep.
If Jorginho starts over Partey in the 2 Premier League matches against us, I think that's really going to hurt them.
Yeah. Because when Jorginho played, was it the FA Cup?
Yeah.
I thought he was awful. I thought we bypassed him very easily.
Yeah. I remember when we beat him at Stamford Bridge in the league last season. I think they played 3 defensive midfielders, Kante, Jorginho, and Kovacic. And they just the tempo just looked so slow. It just gave us every opportunity just to dominate and control possession of that game. And you just I think if Jorginho was to start in even just one of the 2 matches, I think it's just really given us a leg up in terms of dominance in the midfield.
Yeah, definitely.
And he
Right.
can't do double. He can't do double pivot because that's going to hurt Partey. That's going to hurt
No,
Partey as much as
no.
him not being on the pitch. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. But yeah. Anyway, I think we're going to wrap it up there because there's still 2 hours of a window. City may do something in the next 2 hours.
And then how
Everyone's
stupid
sat
will we
there.
look?
Everyone sat there on Twitter now, aren't they? See, listen, no, the lights are off at City. No way. Big thank you to Pat. Where can they all find you, mate?
Catch me at the Early Bird Podcast, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're on Facebook. Our podcast is also affiliated to the official supporters group for Manchester City fans here in Sydney. You can get us there on Facebook at MCFC Sydney and on Instagram at mcfc.sydneyblues. The podcast again was Early Birds. It should be in the profile on the screen right now. Early BERT.
Yeah, there you go. Ozzy, thank you for joining us, mate.
Good to be on.
We will be back now on Thursday night. Are you with us, Pat? I know you can't make it, can you, Ozzy?
No, I'm working.
Yeah, Thursday night, Friday morning should be fine for me, gentlemen. I've just got the only thing is though, I might be going down to Melbourne to buy a new car, so I'll just have to find out what time I'll be.
No, you're not allowed.
What?
No, you're not allowed.
You got a car I can borrow?
Ozzy has.
You've just got to come and collect it from here.
Don't deflect the question. Have you still got your over-reliant Robin?
No, got rid of it. Del Boy came and borrowed it.
Righto.
Big ups, thank you. We are just leaving, mate. I'm sorry. I do appreciate everyone who has joined us. We are back on Thursday for the Tottenham preview. And also, I haven't decided yet if there will be a watch along on Sunday. I will let you all know. But there will be a post-match on Sunday night. After we visit the NFL stadium, the cheese room, the everything else you want to call it, the glitz and the glamour of the NFL, New White Hart Lane. Manchester City have never won there in the Premier League.
Don't even think we scored a goal there.
No. So we'll hopefully we can put that to bed come Sunday afternoon. But yes, big thank you for everyone who's joined us. This channel is growing, and it's thanks to you superstars all in the comments. Please give it a like on the way out. If you haven't hit that subscribe, please do. Go and give Veta Games TV a lot of love as well as True City Fan. And we'll be back on Thursday. It's probably going to be a bit earlier. We're looking around 7:30 p.m. That it will only be a one-off, it looks like, as an early one. So we will be early on Thursday. So, yeah, have a lovely evening. Have a good rest of transfer deadline day. Breaking news, City are signing Lionel Messi.
And playing him left back.
No. Actually, Martin, I've just heard the Isco deal has collapsed, so we can bring him in.
Oh, the one from
Finally.
Berlin.
Yeah.
FIFA, no chance, mate, because he's got to go back to court. He's got to go back to court. He's going back to court in July, and his contract runs out in July. So his Manchester City career is finished. You are really trying to get all these players back here, aren't you, FIFA? Like, everyone's coming back. Cheers, everyone. Thanks all. Yes, all the best to everyone. And best of luck to João Cancelo at Bayern Munich. Take care, and we'll see you on Thursday night for Manchester City Tottenham preview. Thursday night is back. Take care, boys.